All right. Good morning. It is Monday, October 16th. I'm here with Chris Smith. Uh, my name is Adam Brsan, and this is our Monday morning training. And today we are going to be talking about a few different carriers that I think can be very useful. So many different scenarios out there in the business. One thing I wanted to talk about, and I posted a video on Saturday. I know there's a lot of agents out there. Maybe their current situation, maybe they're just not happy with where they're at. Maybe they're having trouble getting released from their uplines, little things like that. I mean, I had situations in the past where people would be calling me about getting contracted because they were just kind of stuck. They didn't have anywhere that they could really go or that they knew of because they were pretty much locked up with the different carriers that they were with. And anyways, so today I just kind of wanted to talk about some carriers that we've been using that have been pretty useful that I don't feel like tons of different bigger organizations, I guess you could say, are with or that they really promote a whole lot. So but they're good companies. They're good companies. They have good good underwriting, good commission structure, and all that stuff. So how you doing, Chris?
Great. I think one of the things I heard an agent say once that speaks to what you were saying is they said, I'm afraid if I leave where I'm at and I'm at this horrible commission level, no support, bad leads, all the reasons to make a legitimate change in their business, I'm going to not be able to sell for 6 months. And I'm like, well, let me tell you something. There's a world of other carriers besides the name brand players that you've heard of. And a lot of times in those situations, they're just contracting you with the high spread, big name companies. And we're about to mention some names you may never have heard of before, but are almost better than some of the names you've heard of already.
Well, yeah, and what's funny too, I mean, the first one we're going to be talking about here in a minute is one that's very comparable to, to other products that are out there, almost identical, that a lot of people may not even know about. So feel free to anybody, if anybody has any questions, feel free to put them in the comments, and we'll be sure to try to do what we can to get to you. So let's
Absolutely.
go ahead and get started here. So the first carrier I wanted to talk about this morning is American Home Life. I think they're based out of Topeka, Kansas. Um, I guess maybe a smaller company, but they have the final expense product. And for those of you that have ever written business with like Aetna or the what is that, the Ascendo CVS plan, this product is almost like a exact copy of those products. The application, the underwriting, I mean everything. So like if you were with an organization and maybe Aetna or Ascendo was like maybe like your primary go-to carrier, and same thing, maybe you're having a situation where you can't write business with them for a while. AHL is again almost identical, and
Absolutely.
the processes. Yeah. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, it's interesting. American Home Life also has another product called the Guide Star, not to be confused with the Patriot series on insurance toolkits. American Home Life essentially put their brand on the Aetna product. It's the same portal, it's the same process, it's the same third-party administrator. It is, in essence, the Clone Wars from Star Wars. Aetna is Aflac, is American Home Life. If you've loved one of the others and you can't see them anymore, you can write this one the exact same way.
Exactly, and the commissions are pretty competitive as well.
Ironically, we don't like to talk too much about that because that can be a case by case basis, but you
Yeah,
can't say this product pays a higher comp, generally speaking, than Aetna when Aetna is the same product. How that is, I don't know.
exactly. So just some of the features and benefits. They do go ages 40 through the age of 89. So, I mean, right there you have for final expense, you have the under the age of 50s that not a whole lot of carriers offer. And then over the age of 85, which is pretty unique. Not many companies will go through the age of 89. So, but people are living longer, and there's still a need there. Every once in a while, I mean, you may run into somebody, and you know what? You bring it up in a house, And a lot of times people will be like, wow, you know, my grandma, she's 87. We just didn't think we could get her coverage anymore. So I always tell people when I'm in a house, you know, we can insure everybody, little kids through the age of 90 years old. And you know, so that's something that a lot of people don't realize.
Yeah, I
Uh,
remember
com-
agents complaining, man, I got a lead and that lead's 86 years old. What am I supposed to do with this? Why can't I get a credit for this? Well, you got this product for that situation. And think of it this way, the 87-year-old you're writing on American Home Life probably has two generations of final expense clients living with them. Like they're 88. So then there's someone that's 68 and there's someone who's probably 50, all in that same family tree. And this product can help you write every one of them.
exactly. An e-app for face-to-face or telesales. There's no phone interview. It provides the instant decision, and it is a pretty simple signature process. Did you want to maybe talk a little bit about how that works, Chris?
Yeah. So when you're doing it face to face, all you do is click through a couple screens and get the signatures completed. If you're doing it remotely, there's a couple new security features built in to prevent fraud on both ends of the fence. So there's some security signatures or text to sign stuff that they've built into the process. But it's really honestly very simple. It's not a crazy complicated email signature. It's very simple process. So if you're selling in person or over the phone, this is a great product to do that with.
Sounds good. And then we have, you know, very competitive underwriting. For one thing, I mean, there's no height and weight chart, and we'll be getting into a few other specifics here in a minute. But you know, to me, that's a pretty big one too. I mean, you could run into people that are overweight, but they might not have any health issues. And a lot of companies, they will either push them to modify it or even disqualify them just due to their height and weight. So I do like the fact, you know, you run into someone that maybe that's the situation. Well, you have a company here too that can insure them where no questions asked. They're not really going to care about the height and weight. They don't even ask about it. Uh, Draft dates, second, third, and fourth Wednesday pay date options. Do you know, Chris? I'm not positive on this. Do you know if they are like a true Social Security billing or not?
So unfortunately, no.
Okay.
But their portal makes it pretty obvious to see if there's an issue. You get an email anytime there's a draft issue. One of the things that the TPA that manages Aetna and Aflac and AHL, because again, it's the same thing. If you loved one and can't write it, you can write this. You'll get an email on any draft issues, service requests, change of beneficiaries, cancellations, lapses. You'd have to not be looking to see if there's something wrong with one of your cases.
All right. So well, that's good. And you know, one thing too. I mean, most clients these days, they're set up on their Social Security for either like the second, third, or fourth Wednesday of the month. So, and just you just got to remember if for some reason the draft date is the first or the third, let the client know it'll be the following business day that will be drafted if that date falls on the weekend. So some carriers, you know, will be going through, will draft it prior to the weekend when they receive their deposit, but you just need to let them know, hey, you know, just make sure to keep that money there. So on the Monday after the weekend, it'll draft. They do have an accidental death benefit through the age of 70. It's basically just like a double indemnity. So if you write a $10,000 policy, you can add the 10,000 in accidental, and you can write that at anybody through the age of 70,
Yes.
or does it cut off at the age of 70?
I would imagine you can write it through the age of 70. I also
Okay.
like making sure to offer or include riders. I think riders build value in your sale as much as some agents may discount this. I'll disagree. I had an entire week where I wrote a carrier and I included what we're about to discuss, the child and grandchild rider, every opportunity that I could, because they're in the home, they live there, they're raising their grandkids. Maybe the client lives in an urban community where accidents and death are abundant. Offer these riders, build value, and that sizzle will help keep that case persistent.
You know, and this is one accelerated death benefit. Most carriers offer it, and I bring it up almost in every house. And most policies is just included. Like you're not paying extra for it, but you explain how that accelerated death benefit works, and people's eyes light up. Like, are you serious? I can actually get access to this money while I'm still living. And that's basically how it works with American Home Life. It's just 50% of the face amount. So if you wrote a $20,000 policy and they talk to their doctor and their doctor says, sorry, it looks like you only have a certain amount of time to live. It's a terminal illness. Well, that client can get access to 50% of the face amount with them. And then the way I explain it to the client is you get that money, you can run to the funeral home. You could pay off everything yourself ahead of time. So then your family's not going to have to deal with it the day of. And they're like, wow, that really makes a lot of sense.
When value exceeds price, people purchase. That's really what these kind of riders help you do in the sale.
Most definitely. And I'm huge on selling value over price, and feel free to go back and watch one of my trainings from, I don't know, I can't remember the last time I did it, probably at least a month or two ago, but get on YouTube. There's a training that I've done that talks specifically about selling on value over price, because if you're selling price, the next person that walks in and can save that person a few extra dollars, well, then they're going to go with them. But if you add in that value, price doesn't really matter nearly as much. And then there is a children's term rider as well. What I like about that too, not only children, but also stepchildren, legally adopted, grandchildren, legally adopted grandchildren, same with great grandchildren. So there's some companies that, to me, doesn't really make any sense on a final expense policy where you can write a child on a rider, but not grandchildren or great grandchildren. It makes like absolutely no sense.
What actuary thought that one up?
Yeah. So, but at least, this makes sense. Most of our clients, final expense, primarily, I'd say, are going to be at least 60 years old or higher. Sometimes we get the younger, but most people on average over the age of 60, not many of them have kids that are under the age of 18 at that age. So at least with this, again, if there's grandchildren, great grandchildren, I think they will take up to 9 grandchildren or up to 9 children, grandchildren. That's like the max that they'll do on their policy. But still, it's a great benefit, and I believe they are covered through the age of 25 years old on that. And then they can always convert it to a permanent plan. So just some different underwriting perks with American Home Life. COPD, Parkinson's, and systemic lupus, standard rating. So first day coverage, that's pretty big. You do see the COPD with a few carriers, but not many where it'll go first day coverage. I don't see a whole lot of Parkinson's where they'll take them first day, or even the lupus, the systemic lupus. So, a couple good perks there. And then there's only a 1-year look back too on a heart attack and a stroke. So if somebody had a stroke, let's say they had a stroke last May. And while I'm sitting here thinking about this, I actually had a client that I was having trouble finding a policy for. I'm going to have to go back and talk to them about this one. They had a stroke in May of last year. So heck, right there, I'll be able to go back and write them first day coverage where everybody else is more than likely going to be modified.
Yeah. What's crazy is the carriers we're talking about this morning, almost all of them have such liberal underwriting. Like if someone's watching this video right now and maybe they're not leaving an FMO, IMO, whatever verb you want to use. Maybe they're a captive agent and they're having issues getting coverage placed. They're getting a lot of declines. A great percentage of what they're writing is modified, which pays them less and puts the client in a poor situation. I mean, sometimes one carrier works for that point of your career. When you discover all these other options you can be putting in these clients' homes, and really opens your business up to a whole new world.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy, Chris, because again, coming from, my background of primarily focusing on like one company. I mean, been in the business 20 years. I was with one company for 11 and a half, another for 7, where that was really my main focus. And after kind of going the independent route, I mean, God, I see the difference where, I mean, there's very few cases these days I feel like I'm even writing a modified policy.
Yeah.
or where I have to go to a guaranteed issue, I'm usually able to find people first day coverage, regardless of their health issues. It's amazing to find different carriers, like, even a scenario like this, heart attack and stroke. I mean, or even COPD, any of these, I mean, would be modified with most carriers, especially when I only had one to work with in the past. So makes a big difference. And again, you are looking out for the best interest of the client and putting them in a plan. I mean, heck, why would I want to write somebody a 2-year modified if I know I can get them covered from the very first day?
Yeah, and one of the easiest ways to get replaced, which a skilled agent, it doesn't happen as often as we think, but one of the easiest ways to get replaced, no matter what rapport you've built in the home or pretend that you have, is to write something that can be placed in first day coverage by the next agent in the home. Like, you don't even have to be as good as Adam. If you can get in the home and show somebody, Miss Johnson, you've got nothing right now. Let's be realistic. And now with American Home Life, you have coverage next month. You'd have to be bad at your job not to get that opportunity locked in.
Yeah. And one thing too, just a little tip for agents out there. If you're in a home and they if you're in a home and they mention that they already have insurance, be sure to try to get them to pull that policy out. Look at the policy summary of benefits. You can look and you can see, I mean, look at year 1, look at year 2, see what it will pay out. And if it shows like year 1, year 2 and 0 benefit, well, they're not covered. And so, then that's kind of how you have to explain it to the person. You're paying into this thing for 2 years right now, really for nothing. Unless, I mean, if you can get them covered right away, great. But that's essentially the case. That's the goal, is to try to find them a plan where you can get them covered right away. Like I said, there's not many scenarios these days where I'm walking out not being able to get that person covered right away.
Yeah, if you guys are watching and you have a case, for example, where maybe you couldn't get them first day coverage, or you have a test case on some of the carriers we're talking about today, if you want to comment below, maybe we can tackle that in real time or after it's posted. But use the comment section if you have a case where you didn't know what to do. You wrote it with Gerber or AIG or GI of some form or fashion. I bet you with one of the 4 companies we talk about today, we can find those cases first day coverage.
Yeah, you're right. People go into a guaranteed issue where they're taking a huge cut in commission too.
Absolutely.
So, pretty good if you can write it standard. I mean, you're not even, you're not even taking a commission cut. And then with AHL, this is the map of their current state availability. I mean, heck, they are in most states. Kind of odd that right in the middle there, they're not in Kentucky, but they're in every other state around Kentucky. Not really sure why that is. And then, as you can see, not out west either.
Useless trivia. Kentucky has weird replacement rules where if you replace or upgrade, as we prefer to call it, a policy, the contestability period doesn't restart. Good friend John Duggar writes a lot of business in that little corner of the world, and Kentucky has the weirdest replacement and contestability laws.
Yep. So Gary had asked about chronic kidney disease and also Alzheimer's. We'll get to that in a little bit.
Absolutely.
Yeah, one of the carriers, we actually were talking earlier this morning about the kidney issues. So yeah, we will get to that. Next on the line here, SBLI, and we're talking about the Savings Bank Mutual Life Insurance Company of Massachusetts, not to confuse you with, what is it, SBLI USA?
Yeah, I don't know or why this happened this way, but it's not the same thing. One of the most watched videos I ever did, the first thing I said was SBLI is not Prosperity Life, and Prosperity Life is not SBLI. They're 2 different products. Well, they are similar in a way, but this one has some amazing niches and benefits and has been one of the biggest products we've led with in my group this year.
Yeah, and even if you call out to SBLI, they even mention on the recording when you first call, we are, this SBLI. We are not the other SBLI. So if your policy number begins with different number, you've called the wrong place. So, so yeah, it is kind of unique, I guess, that you happen to have 2 carriers that are both SBLI, but they're no relationship to each other whatsoever. So SBLI, this SBLI, the final expense product goes ages 50 to 85, which is pretty standard with final expense. Most carriers, I'd say, are 50 to 85, up to 35,000 in coverage. Again, pretty standard with final expense. One thing that's great with SBLI is that they are available in all states except New York. I know New York is one of those too that they really try to get involved with the products, and they try to, I don't know, there's not many companies that like doing business in New York, so it's not surprising to me that SBLI is not in New York, but every other state you can do business in. The great thing about that too is that's a great for you telesales agents that are licensed. I mean, heck, when you're doing telesales, you need to be licensed in as many states as possible. That's how you're gonna get the best price on your leads and just have the most people, most opportunities out there. So if you have 49 licenses, you'll be able to use all of them.
I always lived
outside of just New York. What's
You'll
that?
You'll get an email. This downline agent is not able to be. You're not able to override this in the state of this. I'm like, I'm licensed in that state. Like if it's America, I'm licensed there. If I see that email, someone's just not checking the site right. But 48 states, perfect example for telesales. Perfect example for you're trying to leave where you are. You don't know what to write. Heck, with this product, you can write, Adam, 85 to 90% of your business, either preferred, standard, or modified. Maybe that 10% you can't is direct express at this point in time, but this is an amazing lead product.
Yeah, no, I agree. Preferred, standard, modified, that not much, like you said, there's really not many scenarios that are going to go to like a GI. I think congestive heart failure would be one that they're not going to take. Alzheimer's, stuff like that. Your typicals, really. I mean, HIV, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Rates are very competitive. Their e-app with an instant decision and can be done face-to-face and also for telesales. I know they really push the telesales, but it's a good product for either. And they also, again, a value proposition with them is that they do include a free membership to the Sequoia Funeral Concierge Service. I would compare that to, like, if you know of like Lincoln Heritage Funeral Consumer Guardian Society. I think Senior Life has one. American Amicable is the the Everest Funeral Concierge Service. So again, those are very similar to those three, where the client has the ability to kind of put their funeral plan in order. There's negotiation at the end where they help with saving the family money and making sure those claims are paid quickly. We're not going to get into tons of the specifics of that today, but feel free to Google it, look it up. And again, it's a great benefit that is included. It doesn't raise the premium price, and the rates are already competitive as it is. So
again, Sizzle gets you more sales than you realize. I had a test where I decided just to do add-on business using the Sequoia or Everest as a way for additional add-on business. You could lead with that on the day you're short on leads, but have clients who already trust you. And with SBLI, I know we didn't put this in the slide, they use a Milliman risk score. They don't use the traditional old school MIB and RX and make a decision. This is all what's called the Milliman risk score system. So what you'll find is it's very, very liberal underwriting, very heart friendly, AFib friendly. Like, how did that get approved kind of friendly? And that really works to the agent's advantage.
Yeah, I remember when I first started writing some business with them, I was very surprised. Like, I mean, I'm not skipping anything. I'm going through all the health questions. You know how it is. Every once in a while, you're sitting with somebody and you're just kind of like, man, they're kind of on the edge. Like you think that they can go preferred, but there's a possibility it could go another way, just kind of based off of what you're seeing. All the questions are still answered no. All the medications are in line to go preferred, but I mean, I'm sure you've had situations like that where you're just like, you feel like it's on the fence just because they're I mean, they might be on 8 different medications. You don't know what else is going to be in their health history. So you're just kind of sitting there keeping your fingers crossed, hoping that it goes through. And with SBLI, I mean, God, I mean, it took a long time for me to write a piece of business with them where it actually went modified or declined. You know, I've had a few, but not many, you know, not many plan changes whatsoever. So just a few different underwriting here. Standard rating, we're talking about first day coverage. And some of these are declinable conditions with some companies. COPD, day 1 coverage, Parkinson's, different mental health conditions, sickle cell. I've seen a lot of companies that will not insure somebody with sickle cell. They're taking it day 1 coverage. Same with hepatitis. I mean, I've seen hepatitis C be declined with certain companies, and they'll take it first day. So pancreatitis, same thing, day 1 coverage. So pretty good, again, you know, pretty good underwriting where you don't always have to go with a company that, you know, is just going to be a modified or a GI. I mean, we can get that person first day here with some pretty unique health conditions.
You know, Adam, I was thinking, besides the obvious here, is that a lot of what happened, especially when I was early few years in the business, is I was really good at underwriting, and I would almost have to carry carriers around that would just be like for sickle cell, or just be for that random case of hepatitis C. And it would be frustrating because all I was doing was placing this adverse selected business with this one company that I wrote once every 3 months. With the 4 companies we're talking about again today, you could almost go to bat with those 4 companies and not have to write your business elsewhere. Like, the more simple you can run your business, the more cost effective, the more profitable, the less chargeback issues, the better you'll understand the nuances of these carriers. Like, this is simply better for your business by not having to have 10 companies in your bag.
You know, carriers don't want you just writing their bad business with them. And like you were talking about, I mean, if you had a carrier where just this one specific case, you would know if anybody had that sort of health condition, you'd be writing it there. Well, then all they're getting is just honestly poor quality business that's not going to stay on the books for a very long time, where they don't really want that business. So with SBLI, heck, I mean, they take the good business. There's still a lot of conditions here that they're going to insure, where you don't, like you said, where you don't need, you know, 10, 15 different companies. Yeah, I mean, you'd really be fine with just the 3 or 4 that we're talking about here today, for sure.
Absolutely.
So then moving on, okay, yeah, I didn't have a state chart for them. We didn't need it. I mean, heck, they're in just about every state. So
they're in America.
Yeah, exactly. So then citizens, they go by CICA, CICA, Superior Choice. This is a very up and coming product, I guess you could say. They're not in many states yet. We will get to that in a few minutes here. But yeah, there are definitely a lot of perks and benefits to doing business with CICA. Number 1, they go ages 0 to 85. Not many final expense products are going age 0 to 85. And they have level coverage, first day coverage, and also guaranteed issue. Not many guaranteed issue carriers are insuring people under the age of 50 or maybe under 40. So
none. Like, let's stop this. There. None, unless you're a captive agent writing a very non-competitive product and thinking that you need some kind of none. There's no other option. There was an option, Sons of Norway, rest in peace, gone off the market. This is the option. So if you're thinking to yourself, I've got 38-year-olds, 26-year-old, a 5-year-old, I can't find him coverage. Well, they'll probably qualify for level coverage first off, and you'll be surprised. But second, you have a solution for those people now, and it's Citizens and CICA.
Yeah, pretty awesome. You know, I mean, heck, it's a bit of a risk. People that have significant health issues, I understand why a lot of carriers don't want to accept them at the younger ages, but I'm happy that there is one that will. Same thing. I mean, well, when you're paying for leads, you want to get as much out of them as you can. Mm-hmm. And, you know, you don't want to have to walk away from business. And there's a lot of health issues out there these days. I mean, doctors will even tell you that doesn't really matter how old you are. And maybe in the past, it was a significant health issue. You can still live a very long time with a lot of these different health conditions. So I'm glad that, again, that there's a carrier that will go guaranteed issue. And again, of course, the comp is lowered on GI, but at least you can write it. There's no height and weight chart. So again, the first one we talked about, American Home Life, and now also Sika, no height and weight chart. So we're not going to discriminate there with people that may be in very good health, but just have a bit of an issue when it comes to their height and weight. There's also no tobacco rating with Sika. So it's one rating, whether they smoke or they don't smoke. You don't even have to ask them.
That's crazy. That has to be repeated like 6 times for it to click with some people's head. Like, there is no tobacco rate. There's only 2 products in America that do this and do this well. This is one of them. There is no tobacco rate. It's crazy.
And then no MIB and RX check. It's like, are you kidding me? So, I mean, essentially, you are the underwriter. I mean, it's based off of the questions on the application. As long as you're doing your part correctly and asking all those health questions, there's not going to be any surprises at the end. When you leave, which way that policy is going to get issued. It's going to get issued based off of the way that those questions were answered on the app.
Exactly.
So pretty simple.
Some people do say, how is this possible and how long will it last? Well, this company has been around a very long time. It has a lot of strong financial backing. It has an AM Better rating where some captive companies do not. Like this, it's publicly traded. You could buy stock in the product you're selling. I always thought that was pretty cool. Some carriers are publicly traded. And it has a huge history in the debit business, where that business is a really good, persistent, quality, block of business for a carrier. And they really expect you to be ethical about this. Like, they don't want you writing everybody level, somebody with one leg, the other leg's in the grave. Like, do it the correct way, because when you misuse any product on the market, it messes with the way it was designed. So they're prepared, they're ready, but they also want you to play by the rules, knowing you are the underwriter on this case.
Yeah, and don't abuse it. I mean, we want this to be there for a long time. It's a great situation. I mean, somebody honestly could just have this in their briefcase and be able to write pretty much everybody without needing tons of different options. So, but you gotta do your part. You gotta, like you said, Chris, you gotta be ethical about it. Ask the health questions, go through it, make sure if it should be guaranteed issue, you need to be writing a guaranteed issue.
Yes.
But I mean, you're going to be amazed at this next slide that we go through of the different health conditions that they'll actually take level, that most companies are going to be modified. So, I mean, you're going to be ethical and still be able to get the people very good coverage where they're going to be surprised even.
Yeah. And again, we don't like
that's again level coverage for many unique health situations.
Yeah, we don't talk too in depth about comp when we're talking products, just because it's important to understand the product. But you're not also this isn't charity work. Like, you're not writing GI at 5% comp. You're not getting $25 for the application. This is a competitively built product. So you're going to get paid fairly for the work that you're doing. And this is another example of keeping it simple. Like, you don't need 40 different companies just for someone to be overweight or someone to be 32. Like, less is more in this business to a degree.
Most definitely. So, preferred ratings here, cancer-free for 1 day. Mm-hmm. So somebody had been going through cancer treatment. They just finished their last round of chemo, and they come back for a checkup, and the doctor says, yeah, it looks like everything's good. Your cancer's in remission. So your cancer's in remission. The next day you can go out and get first day coverage with Sika.
Yes.
Yes. I mean, that's amazing. There's people that I've talked to in the past that are surprised with carriers that'll take people 2 years cancer free. I mean, a lot of companies are like a 5-year look back for cancer. So, Being that one day cancer free, they can get that coverage and be covered from the very first day. To me, is just amazing.
Mm-hmm.
There's no wheelchair question. I'm assuming that's also, wheelchair, walker, all that stuff.
Yeah, I think the confusion with that, just to kind of unpack it for a moment, is first off, they look at these major conditions as in if you're being treated, if you're seeing your doctor, if you're taking the medication you're supposed to, your longevity is going to be better than we probably thought. So we're comfortable giving them first day coverage. The wheelchair question is to make it less confusing, make it simple, because some companies say, well, walker this, wheelchair that. Can they walk? Can they stand? Is it for casual use, temporary use? How many wheels does it have on it? Like, it's just too much, which leads to the wrong answer and denied claims. There's no wheelchair question.
I mean, heck, I've had situations where a daughter's bought her mom a wheelchair at a garage sale.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she didn't even really need it. She just had it just in case, or even like a walker. It wasn't recommended by a doctor. They just happened to be, in every once in a while, maybe want to use it. So, but other companies, heck, if you just ask them if they ever use a wheelchair, well, automatically they're going to get pushed to like a 2-year modified. So
yeah,
no wheelchair question. Level conditions for many medically managed health conditions. Okay. So congestive heart failure, if you want to maybe get into a little bit of detail of how this works, what we're talking about here, medically managed health conditions,
yes.
Chris.
Yes. I remember when one of the products came to market back in 2018, you knew if you didn't do a certain thing, you could get it through a certain way. It wasn't right. It's not how it was written. It wasn't supposed to be done this way. And it doesn't really help anybody to do things that way. In this situation, congestive heart failure is considered level coverage if, and many of these conditions are under these ifs again, they're seeing a doctor on a consistent basis. They're taking the medication they're supposed to, and they're medically managing that condition. If somebody has congestive heart failure, they're not taking their medicine, they don't go to a doctor, it's guaranteed issue. Right at GI, and that's fine. But if they're doing what they're supposed to, this carrier considers that first day coverage.
Yeah, that's good. There's, most applications out there, they just ask if you've ever been diagnosed with congestive heart failure. It doesn't matter if you're currently being treated. If you've ever been diagnosed, it's going to be a decline. But like you said, Chris, and I've seen situations too. People maybe someone had a heart attack. That they were then diagnosed with congestive heart failure. Maybe they had surgery and everything went fine, and now they're just on medications. They're maintenance medications, some things that maybe they have to take for the rest of their life. As long as they're good with taking those meds, and like you said, as long as they're consistent with going to their doctor on a regular basis, they're not going to get disqualified. They're not even going to get pushed to a guaranteed issue or a modified. They are going to be able to receive first day coverage with SECA. Correct. Not a bad deal.
Amazing.
All stages of kidney disease and kidney dialysis. Now that's amazing. Kidney dialysis.
Yeah. And let's be realistic. Many of those times, those people are living long lives. Unfortunately, they're on dialysis 3 days a week, but they're going to live 4, 5, 6, 10, 12 years, long enough for this to be great for the carrier, great for the client, and great for the agent, assuming they're medically managing the condition properly.
Yeah. I've seen even kidney dialysis. People live much longer now that are on dialysis than maybe in the past. There's even people that will do dialysis themselves these days, like when they go to bed at night. Yeah. It's just, technology in medicine and everything just has really gotten a lot better. And like you said, people are living longer even when they have some of these significant health issues. A stroke, TIA, liver disease, including cirrhosis. Again, a lot of conditions. Cirrhosis is of the liver. That is a decline with most companies.
Yes.
So, stroke, TIA, same thing. We're talking about as long as they're medically managed. A stroke, heck, usually maybe a doctor will put the person on like a blood thinner, and it's like a maintenance med that maybe they had to take forever. Mm-hmm. And we're saying that Chris, if they just had a stroke, they had a stroke 2 weeks ago,
Yes.
and they're taking their medication. They're fine. TIA, they're fine.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy. It's hard to believe, but also think about it like this. Like, how many less companies do you have to write when you've got this in your bag? Like, well, I carry this one company around because they don't ask about TIAs and they don't have a height and weight chart. So all they get is someone with a TIA and somebody who is unfortunately very large. That's awful anti-selection for that carrier. Like, they don't want that to be done to them. In this situation, you can place healthy business, sick business, in between business, and it allows the carrier to get a balanced portfolio of business as well. So, of course, stroke's not good, TIA is bad, liver disease is not a good thing to have. If they're being medically managed appropriately, it's level coverage. And it doesn't matter how many of these things they have, it's still the same. So you're thinking to yourself, like old criteria, well, if it's 2 yeses, does that make it guaranteed issue, or 3 yeses, or it's all the same. Are they managing it? Are they seeing a doctor? Are they taking their medication? It's how you answer the questions is how it's issued.
So yeah, great product. Insulin diabetes, diabetic neuropathy, same thing. No problem. First day coverage. 5-year look back on an organ transplant. So
That's insane.
if you want to maybe explain how that works, Chris.
Yeah. So unfortunately, like hearts and lungs, the longevity on that, it isn't that long. The lifespan of that, it's tragic. You should be an organ donor. That's my political message for the day. But underwriting wise, 5 look back on organ transplant. So a kidney that they got 6 years ago, first day coverage. That's crazy. Lungs, they got 5 years ago, first day coverage. Hearts, 5 years ago, first day coverage. Organ transplant, more than 5 years is first day coverage. Pretty amazing.
And then within those 5 years would be a guaranteed issue. Okay.
Yes.
Gotcha. And then we move on. Just a couple other advantages with Seek when it comes to their payment structure. There's no upfront chargebacks. Now it's a 6-month advance, I believe, and then they take the chargeback out of the back end. So you wrote something, you got advanced, you're not going to get hit with those chargebacks right away. It would just come out of that back end commission. So you might not see, a lot of renewals starting month 7, but there's at least going to be that money built up there to cover those chargebacks, so you can continue to get paid on a regular basis. You don't have to worry about writing an app to get, writing 2 apps to get paid on one, because you have to make up for a chargeback that you just, piece of business that you just lost.
Yeah. This product was designed with the agent in mind. It wasn't designed by just actuaries or C-suite executives that wanted to make some business. It was written understanding that a brand new agent who should be writing a minimal amount of products, who should be in front of as many people as possible, needs to get paid as often as possible. Like, no one gets into this business with this huge bankroll ready to rock. Like, every piece of business counts. So they want you to be writing quality business. They want you to be writing persistent business. If your persistency drops, they're going to drop you. Let's be honest here. But if you write a piece of business and it drafts, you're going to be paid every Friday for that piece of business. If you write it on November 3rd, you'll be paid after November 3rd for that, and that's fine. But if you write 5 pieces of business and one falls off, it happens, but it won't affect what you get paid on Friday for that business.
And, getting paid on draft to me is not a bad thing. Heck, you write enough of that business throughout the month. You have people that are getting paid on the 1st and the 3rd of the month. Well, then you're going to have a pretty nice big deposit coming, which is nice, rather than a bunch of small little ones throughout the month. The first comes all of a sudden, you got 6, 7, 8 pieces of business that are all hitting. You got a nice deposit coming at the beginning of the month when most people have more bills to pay anyways. Managed service work from the agent portal, Chris. I know you mentioned that you can make different adjustments, like if somebody has maybe a change of their bank account, things like that.
Yep. So they designed the agent portal to make it clear about if you're having any lapse issues, fall off and such. And it allows you to go in there and say, I wrote Adam 2 months ago and Adam changed his bank account. I can get that information from Adam, plug it into the portal, and service that business all on my own. carriers that make it difficult for us to service our business, I will never understand. The easier you make it, the more persistent that business will be. So Citizens designed it so that you can go in and manage that fall off all by yourself if you choose, so you can maintain more business on the books.
Chris, do you know? I mean, I know Gary had asked about the chronic kidney disease. We got to that with Sika, where they would cover people right away as long as it's being treated and they're
Mhm.
seeing that doctor on the regular basis. He also asked about Alzheimer's. Do you know how it works with Sika and Alzheimer's? Is that going to be a guaranteed issue like it is most places, or?
Yes. Yeah. The
Okay.
reality is that condition creates a lot of legal difficulties for a carrier. Where is this person competent or legally able to contract? So a lot of times, even United Home Life used to take that at a standard or a graded benefit. These carriers are just legally uncomfortable doing that, even if someone might live for 6, 8, 9 years with that condition.
Well, and I think with Alzheimer's too, it's so difficult to be able to determine like the stage, I guess you could say,
Mhm.
of the ailment. And it's yeah, I mean people forget everything. I mean they forget how to pretty much perform all of the different acts of daily living.
Yeah.
So I mean
Lumenco will
that's
take
another
modified.
reason why it can go to, what's that again?
Yeah, Lumenco, which we're not on the list to cover today, but Lumenco will
Yeah.
take that modified. Lumenco also takes HIV modified. It's a little wacky,
Okay.
but it's the truth. But generally speaking, no one's going to take dementia and Alzheimer's on a first day benefit.
Yeah, and I think maybe we could do this too, Chris. Maybe like once a month, even we could maybe review a few different carriers, because there are quite a few out there. I mean, I think these four are really good. There are a few others as well, I think, that kind of have those little perks, those little advantages, like what you were talking about. With a company that'll take someone HIV modified. I mean, that's almost unheard of too. Where
Yeah,
most of the time you got to go to like a guaranteed issue. But I'm assuming Sika would take HIV guaranteed issue.
correct.
Someone who's even under the age of 40, that maybe you can't find them coverage anywhere else. They have HIV. Well, you'd be able to write them on the Sika product. This might be a little small. Let me see if I can enlarge it on my computer. This is the states that seek, and again, I guess, like we said, it's kind of like an up and coming. They're in quite a few states, it looks like, on the whole life side, not the guaranteed issue yet. But they are in the works with adding a lot of different states. Any of the states that are highlighted in light blue, looks like they are in the process of adding. They haven't been added yet. I'm in Illinois. I mean, I've been marketing the product, but I haven't been able to write it yet.
Very soon.
Looking forward to it. Yeah, I hear that it is coming fairly soon. So as you can see, it's a work in progress. More and more states, it seems like, are being added every week. And hopefully more and more will be added. But like I said, I mean, look at all the ones that are in light blue even. I mean, they're going to be in most states before we know it here. So just be patient. And once it's available, just, stay in touch with us. And we'll, if you're in a state that Sika is not currently in and you want to know when they're going to be in your state, let us know. And we can be sure to get in touch with you as soon as they are active and ready to go in your state.
Yeah, real quick, I don't think we mentioned this yet or was planned to, but all of these carriers are in insurance toolkits. American Home Life, Citizens, SBLI. We're about to discuss Polish Falcons next. That's a mouthful. They're all in insurance toolkits. If you go into insurance toolkits and you don't see them, you may be under an agency account and there's some extra work that has to be done to turn it on. But every one of these products is built into insurance toolkits for rating, for underwriting, for health cheat sheets. And if you don't know what insurance toolkits is, please let me know what rock you're living under. It seems like a nice place to be, but it's an amazing quoting tool for the final expense, Medicare supplement, and ancillary product portfolio.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's been greatly helpful for me, like I said, kind of coming from my background and then moving independent and working with a handful of different carriers. It's definitely been helpful when it comes to all those different scenarios, the toolkit. So last but not least on our list of unique carriers today that you may not have, but you should, Polish Falcons of America. I remember when you mentioned this company to me, and I was just like, that's really the name? And I mean, even when I'm doing work on my computer, even last night, I was kind of putting some of this together. Like every time my wife sees me promoting them, she's like walking past me and like laughing, like, really? That's their name? The Polish Falcons? That's their name. She's like, do you mention like the name in the house, like your policies with Polish Falcons of America? Or, and it's like, well, yeah, I mean, it just, again, well, the more we write it, the more people will learn about the company. They're a smaller company, also go by PFA, but they have a lot of good benefits. And yeah, so far so good. I mean, I've been writing with them now for, I don't know, I would say maybe a month, and I'd say almost every week I have business that I'm pushing their way. And it's a super easy process, very easy company to work with. They go ages 50 to 80. So, we don't have the niches of the younger or the older, but just your typical 50 to 80. That also keeps the rates competitive. Coverage up to 25,000. So they don't go up to, across all ages, which is nice. Yeah. I mean, 25,000 even at age 80 is pretty good. One thing I love about them is their graded death benefit. They don't have a modified, they have a graded. Their graded death benefit, it pays 30% of the face amount year 1, 70% year 2. I mean, I wrote one a couple weeks ago. It was actually a policy of mine. The lady had it that had lapsed with another company, and she needed to get coverage again. And now that I had this product, it was just a much better fit for her. I mean, I explained to her, your $10,000 policy, it's going to pay $3,000 if you were to die tomorrow. It's going to pay $7,000 if you were to die in month 13 to 24. And then after that, it's going to pay that full death benefit. So much better than your standard modified that's going to do just a return of premium plus maybe 10% interest the first 2 years. And the clients love it. And most health conditions are going to go graded with them that would be modified with other carriers. Very simple. Yeah, Chris, go ahead.
I know it's forthcoming. It's not available there yet. But while this product might be ages 50 to 80, soon they're going to be launching a whole life product for a younger age group and a higher face amount that is going to be available on the same application platform. I know you've used their e-application platform before. Is it as hard, lengthy, and complicated as some of them are, or how would you describe their e-app platform?
Their e-app is probably the easiest e-app of any e-apps out there. And yeah, I was going to get to that in a minute here. Here it is. Yeah, it takes about 5 to 7 minutes to complete. I mean, it is so easy. You get to the end and it's a text to sign feature. So very simple. Well, that's for telesales. For in-home sales, if for face-to-face sales, I mean, they sign right on the screen and that's it. But for telesales, you can sell it over the phone. They're going to get a text message. They click a link. The link is going to take them to essentially the same screen you're looking at with a little box. All they got to do is sign with their finger on their phone, and they hit OK. From there, you're done. I mean, it's going to get issued after that, and it does provide the underwriting decision on the spot. So yeah, very simple. Like I said, yeah, the easiest for those that are not the best with technology. And I mean, I don't really feel like, I mean, I guess I'm okay with technology. I don't feel like many of these e-apps are really that confusing, but for those that maybe get a little confused by other e-apps out there, you're not going to get confused with this one. I mean, I think like my 9-year-old could use this e-app and write a piece of business on it. It's that easy. So, and again, face-to-face and telesales, and it's a price busting product, I guess you could say. I had someone I wrote over the weekend, actually, a 69-year-old female, 69-year-old female, 15,000 in coverage was $91 a month. Another company I looked at from my past was like 140 a month. So, I mean, just crazy. Like, why write an overpriced product that you know is going to get replaced when you have this in your portfolio of carriers that you can do business with? And I don't lead with the Polish Falcons, but let's say that I'm quoting another product. Everything seems fine, but sometimes you can just tell, like, the only thing that's holding them back is the price. And I mean, if you've been in the business long enough, you're going to know that you walk out that door, there's a real good chance you're never going to see that person ever again. So do I want to walk out that door with the quote that I gave the person, knowing that maybe price is the only thing that's holding them back? Or do I want to maybe say, hold on a minute, let me take a look. You do seem like you're in pretty good health. I might be able to find you something that's a little bit cheaper. And you can pull this out of your back pocket, and it's going to save you some sales because the prices are so good.
I want to walk through that real quick too, because I've got Toolkit open. Let's just say we have a 65-year-old female, very common age to encounter in final expense, 15,000. Polish Falcons is in the top 3. It's the second lowest rated price across the board. And then you have at $56 a month, you have carriers that are $77 a month for that exact same product. So there's a $30-some spread. I'm not a mathematician.
Wow.
On some of these products. And Adam, it's not like you're taking a haircut to write it. Like, take a minute and unpack the fact that we have an exclusive level with this carrier that nobody else in the industry has access to.
Yeah. We have a very good, unique relationship, I guess you could say, with the Falcons. And yeah, we are able to offer like the best comp out there to agents on this product. So,
pretty amazing.
So yeah, I mean, if you are looking for the product, you could call out there directly, and they're not going to give you, they're going to put you to lower comp than what we're going to give you. They'll even tell you that. So there's no sense in even trying to call a carrier direct. We can get you a better, we can get you better comp than what they're even going to give you.
Yeah.
So
you call Citizens Direct, they would channel you back to us anyway too. Like,
yeah,
there's no extra work extra comp you're gonna find by calling them. We have agreements in place, the effort, the relationship, the promotion to be able to offer the most competitive levels on the companies you're hearing about today.
Yep. And again, the only downside to me with the Falcons is just that they're not in a whole lot of states yet. They are in a good portion of the Midwest. And I'll show you the map in a minute, but same thing. I mean, them along with like the Sika, I look at as more like up and coming carriers that it's here for some, but not for all. But the intention is to get there, to get to the point where it is in most states. And here we are, this is kind of where they're at right now. They just recently added Missouri and also Arizona. As you can see, the ones that are in navy blue are in the process of getting approved. So what's that? Another 6 states that are in the process of getting approved. And then again, like as I mentioned, there's more to come. So unfortunately, they are not in a ton of states, but for those that are in the states that they're in, or the ones that are in the process, reach out to us, because like I said, I mean, I actually, there was another one I wrote this past week, and it was like, if you go to Toolkit, it was another carrier that was probably like in the top 3 when it comes to rate. And I was still able to beat the other, they had just taken out this policy with this other carrier. And I was able to get the person $1,000 more in coverage for the same price. So I basically told the person, well, $1,000 is $1,000. Like, is your family, you think that they maybe would be able to use that extra $1,000 for something, or would you rather keep what you have and them not have access to an extra $1,000? He's like, well, it would only make sense to go with you.
Exactly.
So I think I wrote him a $13,000 policy rather than the 12 that he just took out with the other carrier for the exact same price. So, and again, that was a top 3 in toolkits. So, I mean, they, like I said, yeah, their rates are very, very good, very competitive. There's not many that you're going to find that are any cheaper, and it's a good product.
Absolutely.
So, as far as underwriting goes, Chris, we didn't really talk a whole lot about the underwriting with the Falcons, but I mean, I'd say that overall, I mean, I feel like they're very liberal as well. Not many health issues are getting pushed to a decline. Even if they get pushed to like the graded, like I said, the 30% of the face the first year, 70% the second year, you really can't beat it, compared to like your traditional modified plans.
Yep. For graded coverage, if you have had a amputation 18 months ago, it qualifies for graded coverage. A lot of the conditions like COPD, kidney failure, cirrhosis are going to qualify for graded coverage. Recent issues with cancer may qualify for graded coverage. Organ transplants may qualify for graded coverage. The preferred rates are super competitive. The graded is super liberal. It may not be in a lot of states, but if you're selling face-to-face, you're probably only selling in 1 or 2 states. And if you see yourself on this map, this is a product that, like Adam was just describing, you're going to be able to pick up business you weren't able to pick up before. And it just a competitive advantage you're going to be able to add to your portfolio.
Yeah. And like we were saying too, the comp is, it's decent. You're not, like you said, you're not taking like a huge haircut on the comp by writing the very highly competitive, well, really price busting product. So yeah, if it's available in the states that you're in, or like I said, and about to be in, let us know. We'd be happy to work on getting you appointed. As we mentioned, we have a unique relationship that's not being offered to other agencies or organizations out there. So we can definitely, put you in a good spot with the Falcons, and we'd love to earn your business on that product as well as these others that we've talked about today. And that's, I guess I would just kind of lead into, my agency, Unity Life Group. We are always looking to help agents, maybe get you out of a bad situation, put you in a better situation for home sales or telesales. I've done both. I prefer in the field over telesales, but I can help you with both, and I can connect you with those. I have agents that are doing great over the phone, and I can connect you with those agents as well that would be happy to work with you. We do have a lead program. You're never going to run out of people to see, as well as our weekly trainings, ongoing support, and opportunities to build a team. We have comp levels that it gives you lots of room to kind of move up the chain and get to the point where you can build a team and really put something big together. As well as, so many different carriers, those that we've talked about today, as well as many others. So yeah, feel free to reach out, and additional trainings too. Get on my website, adambrsan.com, register on there. You'll get an email every week of future trainings to come. And you can also hop on there too, to inquire if you would like to work with us in the future. adambrsan.com/training. And also you can hop on YouTube for all of the other content that has been provided in the past, and future trainings will get uploaded on there as well. So let's see. I did have a question. Is PFA in New Jersey? And I think that we answered that going through the map. Unfortunately, right now they're not. We'll see what comes about in the future.
The bigger we build that relationship, the better we get them.
Someone said that they used Sika before and they are expensive. Well, their rate might be a little bit higher than some, but again, they are insuring just about everybody. I would say they're kind of like a middle of the road carrier when it comes to rates. They're not the highest, they're not the lowest, but again, that scenario where a lot of cases you're going to end up having to write a modified, you're going to be able to write that person first day coverage. And heck, if the rate's a little bit more, who cares? You're getting them. You're getting that client a better product.
Yeah.
Um,
They weren't designed to be price busting. They weren't designed to be top tier, lowest
yeah.
rate. They were designed to make your business simpler, provide first day coverage where you couldn't get it, provide guaranteed issue where nobody offered it, and put it on a platform that is easy for an agent to manage when necessary.
And again, I mean, to me, price isn't everything. Sometimes you get what you pay for. Fortunately, we do have the one price busting product with the Falcons, the Polish Falcons, and I mean it's a great product. They're good people to work with. But there's other heck. I mean, Globe Life, they have a really cheap product too. But I mean, who would want to write that? You know what I mean? You get cut off when you turn a certain age. There's stuff out there. It's like anything else. You get what you pay for. Not every product's going to be the cheapest. There's a reason companies' rates are where they're at, but that doesn't mean that they don't add value and they're not a company that you shouldn't want to do business with.
Exactly.
So let's see. And I think that's all I had for today. Like I said, reach out if you have any questions, if you need anything. I hope y'all have a great week. Hey, and thanks again, Chris, for hopping on with me this morning. I think you've been very helpful too with I think you're real good too with just learning the differences between all of these different companies and the underwriting. And like I said, that toolkit has really helped me. But you've definitely helped me a lot since I made my move and have gone independent when it comes to just the differences between all these different companies, because it can get pretty confusing. And again, there's a lot of good options out there. I hope, again, I hope you all learned a little bit today about some unique carriers, and maybe we can help you getting on board with some of them. So, but thanks again, Chris. I hope everybody has a great week and look forward to seeing y'all next.
Absolutely. Take care. Thanks, Adam.